What's up, Reject Nation? I am John Humphrey.
And I'm Greg Alva. So today we are going to be talking about DC's Captain Marvel. I am super excited about this because I actually, not to brag or anything.
Who the hell are you?
What?
Who are you? How did you get into our apartment? Where's Greg?
What do you mean, where's Greg? I'm right here. Oh shit. Oh shit, my bad. Shazam!
Sorry about that. We're gonna talk about Shazam today.
You let a little boy into our apartment?
Yeah, but it was a funny bit.
The bit's not even accurate. It's not like Shazam shrinks into Billy Batson.
Yes, he does. Billy shouts Shazam and he turns into Shazam.
Yeah, but it's not like Bruce Banner morphing into the Hulk. Why couldn't he have worn his own clothes?
Because it was funny.
You shouldn't make little kids wear your clothes.
Are we gonna film this review or not?
Who the hell was that kid?
Did you guys catch that bit of white cream on my beard? Can't notice all these things when you're filming one of these videos thing. Anyway, Aragorn Jones was actually that person who played the young version of me. He has his own YouTube channel. You guys should go check it out. He does reactions on there as well. Big thanks to Aragorn for stopping on by. He's a family friend, not just some kid. Also, big thanks to Kyle Eilerman from Fan Theory TV for putting together that little bit of VFX for us. You're the best, buddy. Go check out his YouTube channel as well. On to our review for Shazam. Now, for anyone who's been following our reactions to this, you'll know I have heavily been anticipating this comic book adaptation for quite some time. I read the Shazam graphic novel, Society Monsters of Evil, and I also read from the new pages of the 52, the Jeff Johns edition. As a person who read the comics, I really liked this movie a hell of a lot, especially because it seemed to kind of combine both elements, especially because I wasn't expecting this movie to have as much horror elements infused throughout that was like sprinkled in here. Shazam's a rather bright comic book, and then the re-edition with the new 52 from Jeff Johns, that one is much darker in its tone. And this seemed to have like the right blend, especially when you're borrowing thematic elements and tones from movies like Big. They seem to strike the right balance, which I thought surprisingly worked. Sort of harken back those like Amblin Entertainment kind of horror, where it's not like a scary movie, but you got scenes where you're like, that is surprisingly horrific.
When you remember that even in adult form, your protagonist is ostensibly a kid, it heightens that level of tension. And with David F. Sandberg in the director's seat, I feel like that is a very conscious decision because he is able to play up the horror, especially when the villainy of the movie sets in.
And I thought this movie was a lot of fun. Easily DC's most fun movie ever. And I laughed quite a bit. We weren't sitting right next to each other, so I didn't know if you were laughing. But there were times where I was like cracking up very, very hard in this film. The thing that should matter the most, and was to me the best part of the film, was Zachary Levi as Shazam.
Yeah.
The first act of this movie, it's fine. The movie really kicks into high gear once you get into Act 2, where, you know, Asher Angel is able to morph into Zachary Levi as Shazam. Once that plot line that you see in the trailer kicks in, the movie becomes a total blast from here on out. His boyish-like charm and personality. At first, I was wondering if it might be contradictory to the performance that Asher Angel was given because they were the same characters. Watching the movie, you're like, oh, okay, I get it, that the way he views himself as Shazam. It's the kind of way, you know, even today, as a guy in his late 20s, if I were to have the ability to morph into a superhero, I would probably have the kind of attitude that Zachary Levi Shazam was having in this movie.
Well, yeah, and for a lot of the movie, I mean, the stuff that you do with Billy just as himself is kind of the heavier, more serious stuff because he is kind of a troubled, at-risk youth. He's looking for his actual family and whatnot, and so when he's in Shazam mode, that is, at least for the first part of the movie, some of the times where he gets to be the most carefree and just have fun as a character, which is kind of neat because, yeah, it really capitalizes on Zachary Levi's natural charm. And then when, you know, the stakes actually start to set in, he's good at that stuff too, you know?
Jack Dylan Grazer, who we know from the movie It.
They're gazebos!
Yeah. He plays Freddie Freeman in this film, part of the foster family that Billy Batson is a part of in this movie, and they essentially become like best friends because they're brothers now. And for me, I thought whenever he was on screen, he practically stole the show, or he was exactly on par with Zachary Levi. When they have scenes together, they are undoubtedly the best moments out of the whole movie.
The heart of it too.
Yeah, there's a whole foster family in here, which is essentially the heart of the movie. which I really
Freddy
do love.
and Billy are really the core of it, because Freddy's the one who like walks him through being a hero, and he's the one who's like really nerdy and into all this stuff, who kind of brings like a Scream-esque element into the movie, or like a Deadpool, the way it's like constantly pointing out superhero tropes and using that for a meta angle and stuff like that. And Freddy really drives that.
The movie has a lot of self-awareness into what the superhero genre. There's some bits that I would love to go into in a spoiler talk, and there's just some story beats that I would love to go into in a spoiler talk. There are some very, like, it's not exactly Deadpool, but kind of teetering there a little bit with some of the moments that they have.
Very self-aware in terms of the structure.
Yeah, definitely. The action in this movie is cool. It's not like anything that we really haven't seen before, honestly, but it's not really about that. One thing I really appreciate about this movie is bringing back a sense of wonder with superheroes. So when he is discovering his powers, he starts to discover like new things he can do. So much fun to be had there, because it's not like, oh, cool, epic action scene. Whenever he does something new, you're like, oh, that is pretty cool. Like the way they're reacting to it, you're not really expecting it in that moment, that when it happens, you are kind of filled with this sense of joy.
Yeah, I feel like what makes the action in this particular movie distinct is, not that it's necessarily shot with the utmost prowess that we've ever seen in one of these movies, but it is also, again, the context and just how the characters are reacting to it, because so much of the time it's about Billy sort of discovering the limits and, the extents of his power, and so there is like a character reaction within that that makes it a lot of fun and makes the action itself a journey.
And I think the whole plot line where most of Zachary Levi Shazam is at, without spoiling anything, I really thought it was a unique direction to get, especially with so many superhero movies nowadays. The exploration they did with his character and how he's sort of the kind of person he's evolving into before he even confronts Dr. Savannah in this movie, I thought was really wonderful. And that to me was the biggest breath of fresh air, was a unique kind of exploration with being a superhero.
Yeah, and that was something I was wondering, from what I do know about the comic, how they were going to handle coming into this. And I did like that they made Billy really have to have a character arc and earn the power that he has been given over time. And it is felt.
And it is a family film overall.
And a holiday film.
Yeah, I was thinking like, it's probably because of like the Blu-ray release or something. Mark Strong as Dr. Savannah. I think Mark Strong does a good job. I think he's effective. There's a couple of elements in here that nothing that I don't really like dislike. There are things I just kind of am like either neutral or don't really care about in this movie. I think everything that I really liked about this movie truly stands out for me and fills me with a lot of emotion, And then there's some things where I'm like, I appreciate all the things they were going for here. Like with Savannah, there's a point in the movie where I'm like, oh, is this half his movie too? The way they're setting up this film. So I like that they gave a lot of characterization to our villain. They gave a lot of backstory. I thought it was really cool on paper, but there was, I can't quite pinpoint it right now. There's something about it where I just kind of didn't find it fully effective. Even though they're giving all this backstory, I still don't feel the stakes with it. His character, power-wise, sure, he matches with Shazam. There's never really that sense of danger or tension. Not that this movie necessarily needed it, but I also kind of think it could have benefited from it, Or
something to make his presence a bit more distinct, because while they do offer you some understandable insight into the character, I feel like what Mark Strong is physically given to work with on screen is kind of a lot of what we see him do in this kind of role a lot of the time.
Or other actors.
Yeah, so like he's good at it, and the character is kind of cool and distinct, but ultimately not necessarily one of the most memorable or effective villains.
See, I can't tell if that's the point, especially with the jokes they make. Like you see in the trailer, it was like, oh, you're the bad guy, right? Like that joke. I felt like they did more with him than I expected them to do, even though Savannah's such a big part of the Shazam comics.
Yeah, especially where the movie starts off.
Yeah, but there's something about there's a lack of effect. There's also some VFX in here, which sometimes look cool, and it would be spoiler territory to really go into it. There's sometimes it looks cool, but then there are other times where it does look pretty cheesy.
Like floating heads on completely different bodies.
There's like other characters, I can't go into it. There's other characters in here where I was like, it looks cool, and at times it just looks very cheesy, but the thing that makes up for it is this film has a lot of intentional cheese.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I'm not like stupid.
It's not entirely inappropriate in this movie.
Yeah. With Asher Angel, I kind of flip-flop with his performance on this movie. I feel like Zachary Levi and Jack Dylan Grazer are like way up here. Asher Angel, I could feel the notes he was trying to hit, basically. I didn't always feel it being as lived in as the other characters.
Kind of like Captain Marvel. Because I feel like you get one really good scene where Asher Angel has to really act and has to really feel the impact of a dramatic weight. But a lot of the allure and a lot of the most impression you get is from his time spent as Shazam. And so I do feel like this movie maybe could have used just a couple more. Like, they do a good job of cluing you into his backstory, making you feel for him. But in kid mode, I maybe would have liked to have seen one or two more personal moments. You know?
Right. If you guys have seen my trailer number 2 reaction, I'm not going to confirm what theories came true or what didn't come true. Some did, some didn't. I think it's the most fun of the DC film, and as a whole, Wonder Woman's third act gets a lot of crap. I still prefer Wonder Woman over this movie if I had to.
Yeah, it's just got a bigger impact.
Yeah, I think as a whole film, this is probably the best of the current iteration of the DC universe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the most easily enjoyable. It's the most heartwarming. It's the most sort of fun.
And there's also a lot more supporting characters in this film that get a lot more attention than you might realize from the trailers will have you to believe. And there's just some really great comedic direction in this movie. I had a really good time and I do highly recommend this movie. Yeah, go check it out.
It didn't blow my mind, but I had a great time.
All right, guys, well, we're one of the people who got to see an advanced screening of Shazam. Tell us what you thought. If you haven't seen it yet, who do you already want Shazam to team up with in the DC universe? Comment below. You can subscribe to the Reject Nation, click that notification bell, check us out on Patreon, and make sure to check out Aragorn Jones and Carl Ironman on their channels. Thanks, guys.